What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Pit Box. My name's Jesse. Corey, how many NASCAR drivers does it take to blow up a jet dryer?
Just one.
All right, and welcome back, race fans. Today we talk about the race at Phoenix and everything that went down there. So, Corey, what do you say we get right into it, bud?
Do it, man.
All right, so first we got Ryan Blaney starting on the pole today, who led the whole first part of the race. Good job, Ryan Blaney. Nice job, baby. Let's keep up this good work for that Penske crew. Seems to really be the bright spot of Penske. You know, he got that fast lap and really stretched it out there on that 25 lap run before the competition caution comes out. And Corey, they all come down pit road, get four tires, and then Mr. Blaney gets caught for speeding.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I believe Hamlin got tied up in that too, and admitted over the radio that he said sorry to his guys. He said I was just on Blaney's bumper and wasn't looking. So he tagged along with Blaney, and they both got speeding penalties early in the race.
Yeah, and unfortunate for both of those guys because they were running 1-2. So, should the Cup Series have competition cautions, Corey, to even allow for something like to happen now that we have practice and qualifying back?
Um, I mean, look, I get why NASCAR does it. I don't agree with it, but I think they still do it because they're constantly flirting with entertainment versus integrity, and the competition caution me, like in my opinion, there so silly accidents don't happen or teams don't step on their own feet with tire issues because that's what I mean. What else is it there for? I don't know. I mean, that's the only
I,
reason I can find.
right, I don't know what it's there for, to be honest with you. NASCAR, I do know what it's there for. Let me tell you what it's there for. So, 10 laps into a race, every single race, Fox takes a commercial break. And then they come back and they run another 10 to 15 laps until the competition caution. So now it's more of a commercial caution, is what they should call it, because that's what it is. And if that's what they want it to be, they need to just tell us fans that. So I saw on Twitter media members, why are we, Dave Moody of all people, um, sent a message on Twitter like, why are we still having these competition cautions? And I responded to him exactly what I just told you. It's because they want a commercial break and it's going to be under caution. So NASCAR has kept it there. But now that we're back and we have practice and qualifying and we're able to do those things, just because NASCAR wants it to be a 15-minute practice or a 20-minute practice or whatever they're going to decide next week at Atlanta, where they have like an hour of practice. So whatever they are deciding, they need to get rid of it, the competition caution, because there's no point for it. When we had COVID and we weren't practicing, that was a good time to have a competition caution so teams could check tire wear and make adjustments and things like that. But they're doing
Right,
all
and
that
I
in practice.
I still don't agree with it, but with it existing even in that form. But at least there's logic to it. That last year, there's some reason. It's almost like, hey, since we're not allowing practice and qualifying, the first 30 laps of a race, we're going to kind of treat as practice, and you guys can come in and check out your cars and make nothing's crazy is going to happen. But now, especially, there's no reason for it. It needs to go. This is
Yes.
the Cup Series. This is the top of stock car racing. Why
It's
are we
the
giving these guys
top.
why are we giving these guys a break? They're at
I
the
don't know.
top, man. If you decide to take the chance and go below what Goodyear tells you to go on your tire pressures, that's
That's
on
on
you.
you.
on you, buddy. You went to the top. You're spending the big bucks to take the, and you're taking the chance. Race. Let it play out. It is what it is, man. I think it's honestly mildly embarrassing that we still do them.
I agree, and like we've talked about, there's no reason to do it. So I don't think there's a reason. We've kind of covered everything on that. I feel like so there's not much more to say on it. But if you guys have another reason that we've missed out on, let us know in the comments what you think about the competition cautions, and should we have them in the Cup Series or not, and should we be doing it in NASCAR at all in any of the series, or should we just be letting these guys go race the already shortened race of 312 miles is what we ran today.
Yeah.
I think
I mean,
that, I think it needs to go. I think we need to stop it. And if they want a commercial caution, then they need to call it what it is and just quit trying to pull the rug over our heads.
look what it did. I mean, as we're getting ready to go on to the next topic, I mean, if it doesn't exist just in this race alone, Denny Hamlin and Ryan Blaney don't speed. Kyle Busch doesn't have that bad pit stop. I mean, there's three bad things that wouldn't have happened that didn't exist.
Right. And yeah, you say Kyle Busch, he couldn't get out of his pit stall, stalled the car, and he's lost a ton of track position as well. And on that note, we'll look forward a little bit, Corey, to the Toyotas. They've kind of
Woo!
been non-existent. Last week at Vegas, they looked like they were sitting pretty. They were going to get a 1-2 finish, and then the caution flew late for Eric Jones, and they fell back some. And now today they were nowhere to be found. What's going
Uh,
on with Toyota Camp? Cause for concern?
I I don't know, man. I mean, are they bringing the Prius or are they bringing the Camry? I don't know. It's hard to tell because they're not there. I mean,
Well,
I think
I
they
don't know
said
that a Camry can keep up with Mustangs and Camaros anyway, so maybe they're bringing the wrong stuff altogether.
hey, you could be right, man, but I don't know what's going on with Toyota. It's weird to see them struggle like this because we know Toyota Racing Development just a ton of money into NASCAR, and it's not it could be. I mean, it might be a development side. I don't know. I know I stepped on my own tongue there, but I don't know. I really don't know what the issue is. I wish I did, because if I did, I'd probably be working for Toyota.
Yeah, right. But I think it was telling tonight or today when we saw Ryan Blaney go to the back and we saw Denny Hamlin go back there with him. And Ryan Blaney was able to cut through and make moves and get back up to the top of the field before that Corey LaJoie caution came out. And we'll get to that in a second. But Denny Hamlin wasn't really able to do that. Kind of got back up to like P20, maybe a little bit ahead of that, but really couldn't go on any further until they tried to do some strategy there when that Corey LaJoie caution came out with 10 to go in the stage.
Yeah, yeah. That Corey LaJoie thing, man, that was unfortunate. Team really hoping for a decent season, and not what you want to happen.
No, definitely not. And so that made him go out of the race after hitting the wall, popped the tire off of the wheel carcass, and had to go behind the wall and is done for the day. And we'll have to see what NASCAR judges. If the tire comes off but not the wheel, is that a penalty? And will his crew chief get a mini vacation here early in the season? Or are they going to call that a parts failure? So going on to stage two, Byron ends up winning stage one. At the end of stage two, at the end of stage one, I'm sorry, um, Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney, and a couple other guys stay out after pitting with 10 to go in stage one. They assume the lead. Brian Blaney runs off in stage two, Corey, and after Christopher Bell spins on lap 121 to a right rear flat, puts the caution back out, and Blaney gets back on pit cycle. Sorry, with everybody else. Goes on to win the stage. What'd you see in stage two?
I saw some notebooks get a little thicker because 10 to go in stage 10 laps. I mean, Blaney had to commit to not push it those last 10 laps of the stage to have the speed. I mean, I assume that's what he did because he ran away with it. He had a 2-second lead on 10-lap older tires than the rest of the field and was able to hold it all the way till that caution. And then, like you said, he got back on the pit cycle, and it was all kumbaya for him the rest of the stage. And he just, I mean, honestly, that stage was some vintage pre-stage NASCAR where he just ran away with it, clean stage, and Blaney showed his pace. You know, blink, you probably missed stage 2. It went pretty fast.
Yeah, it went pretty fast and not a lot of passing up in the top 8 to 10. You know, I saw Eric Estep on Twitter posted that he was at the track and said the top 8 for the last 30 minutes of stage 2 up until that caution didn't change. So no passing in the top 8 to 10 according to people at the track. You know, obviously on TV we can't see that other than the ticker on the side of the screen. So interesting to note there. And then we get off running into stage 3, and you know Blaney loses spots on pit road again. Man, I don't know what to think about that 12 pit crew. I don't know. They finally did gain a position on that last stop of the race for him, and he was able to bring it home P4. But before that, I mean, it's been every single week. At the 500, they lost some spots. At Auto Club, they lost spots. At Las Vegas, they lost spots. Today, they lost spots all day long. I know it's the new car, and these things are getting, you know, tires are getting hung, and lug nuts are falling off. That's what happened today. What do you think it is from a fan perspective? What's going on with that Penske team when Joey Logano's Penske team is knocking it out of the park?
Repetition, man. I mean, an outsider, I think it's 100% repetition and who gets the motions quicker than somebody else. And obviously certain teams, I mean, Larson's team stepped up today and gained them some positions throughout the race, and other teams, their pit crew struggled. So I mean, I just think it's who's getting the repetition in, who's catching on and getting the muscle memory. I mean, you saw Denny Hamlin blow up his transmission. Muscle memory is a big deal. And until you reach that point to where you're not having to really think about it, you're going to make mistakes, and that seems to be what's happening. You know, I go back to what you said before that about Eric Estep saying something about no passing in the last 30 minutes with the top 8, but yet we're gonna be back here to crown a champion, and I'm not thrilled for that. I love Phoenix. The restarts are awesome, but you know, 5 laps into the restarts and then things spread out, stuff like that. No passing. I mean, are you excited that we're coming back here again to crown a champion? Because I know I'm not.
Well, I am and I'm not. So there's two different parts of this, and I think we learned this today. I think that grip strip that they put up there, the glue that Martin Truex Jr. talked about during the race after he hit the wall, it's just so grippy. When you're up there, it kills the bottom lane. So I would really like to see them when they come back, don't apply it, and let's see what kind of racing we get, because at least if you're racing on the bottom, you can move somebody up out of the way. So rather than just having them run up by the wall in that high side and try to dive bomb somebody, which you can't really do at Phoenix anymore. I mean, you can, but it doesn't work as well because you can't get gripped up off the corners. Let's just not put the glue down and see what kind of action we get. We haven't tried it with this car, and we clearly saw today that it did not work. But as far as the championship race, let's try that, but also let's try. I don't know. The restarts are just so good. I just lost my train of thought, but the restarts are so good at Phoenix that it makes for good racing because you can get that 5, 6, 7 wide, and they can funnel down into 4 wide in the corner there and still have room until off the corner. So
And you can
I
see
would
with
like to. I don't know. Maybe next year we move it somewhere else. But they did want to reward Phoenix for all the investments they made in the track. But I
right.
understand
No,
people like you not wanting to see it either. So
yeah, I mean, I get all that, and you know, I don't know if I would eliminate the resin, the grip, but maybe you do. I can't remember which track it was, but they put just enough to where you could get just your right sides on it. I don't remember what track it was last last year, and they had put just enough resin up in the lane to where just your right sides would get on it, which would cut your speed down a little bit. So maybe help create a lane, but make them have to work for that lane. Like, don't just give them a full lane of grip, because
But then you're fighting. Then everybody's fighting for literally one lane. Like today, they had it wide enough that you could have had two lanes there. Like two cars could have fit there. You just couldn't get up next to somebody at that track to do it. So I think that might almost make it worse at a track like Phoenix if you just put it like all the way up by the wall, and then just Briscoe there at the end is running just that one lane, and you can't catch
yeah,
him anyway. So
I guess you could do that, but then I guess if you do, your only hope for Phoenix at that point is the restarts, maybe a late race restart, or these cars are tough and see some bump and runs, because it
yeah.
can become a single lane track, and maybe you see people get nudged out of the way, which I always find exciting. But you know, moving on from that, we'll see. I'm an optimistic fan, and I hope it's a great race because I love the sport. But man, stage 3, a lot happened. After Blaney wins stage 2, Truex blows a right front, man, and right bangs into the wall. I mean, hard hit.
Hard
And
hit.
once again, here
Very
we are.
hard.
Here we are. We're talking about it again 2 weeks later, and Truex, I mean, burning down the back tires, trying to keep that thing moving, and just couldn't do it, and it stays over.
I think it was different this time with the not being able to move. I think it had everything to do with that right front being stuck, and more than just him not being able to uh, get traction and the things that we saw at Auto Club and Daytona. It looks like these drivers have kind of got it. We saw Christopher Bell go for a loop de loo off of turn 2 and was able to get it spun around and get back going. Where if that would have happened at Auto Club, I don't think he would have been able to. So I think they've kind of figured out that I have to keep this thing moving in order to be able to get it back to the pits. And even at Vegas, you saw Bell do something similar. So I think the tire issues. I think these guys are learning how to do it, and it's just something different. Before you could stop the car and then run back on the inner liner and still try not to change things. So, but going on from there, we got Kyle Larson, who had motor trouble with 75 to go. Turns out it was broken valve springs. Ended a possible top 5 day after starting in the back after unapproved adjustments for the power steering pump before the race. And I believe he also failed tech, right, Corey? I know there's a lot of guys that failed tech.
And there were so many that I didn't. I was just like, man, this is silly. I'm not even. We just mentioned it for you guys right there. 9 teams didn't know what they were doing before the race. Kyle Larson's power steering pump took a dump. I don't know if he failed tech, but he went to the back, got up to about 10th, 5th to 10th, and kind of stayed there. Never really showed a winning speed. And then the engine said it went kaput with 75 to go. Larson's out. And, hey, if you're going to have tough luck, get it out of the way early.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's got a win under his belt, so those guys are still going to go home and sleep good tonight. Got a win in World of Outlaws Saturday night, man. Gets to fly
Oh,
out to
yeah.
California, picks up that dub, and then drives or flies back to Phoenix. Not driving. So, and then with
To be Kyle Larson.
yeah, so after the caution comes out, Stuart Haas comes out first and third on the pit cycle, and Chase Briscoe and Kevin Harvick are back up front. A couple cautions later, yeah, let's give them a hand. Stuart Haas,
Hell yeah. Stuart
good to
Haas
see you
back in
guys.
action, man. Great
Yeah,
to see him
been
back
way
in
too
it, but
long.
hell yeah.
And Chase Briscoe's had some good runs though, just hasn't been able to get the finishes, but he's been up front. I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, he's looked really good all season. He's shown to be the top of the group right now with Harvick. I think what Harvick's doing is what veterans do, and he's said it. He's like, look, I don't want to tear up the car. I want to get notes. I want to have a notebook for when we come back to these tracks. I want to have cars. So you saw Phoenix. Him and Rodney figured something out. Looks like they found a little bit of speed. He gained a little more confidence in the car, and I think you're going to see Harvick start to, go back to being the top. Right, him and maybe Chase. Even though Chase is young, he looked good. Phoenix is not an easy track to get around. So kudos to Chase for bringing Stewart-Haas back into the picture, and for Harvick, bringing himself back into where he belongs as a contender.
Yeah, absolutely, and good job for those guys at Stewart-Haas again. Of course, Briscoe goes on to win the race, outruns two other guys that were hungry for their first win in Tyler Reddick and Ross Chastain. So congratulations to all three of those guys on a great run. Those other two going to be getting a win soon, Corey. What do you have to say for them?
Woo! I tell you what, that was some good racing there at the end. I think it was the second or third to last restart where Chastain and Chase really duked it out, and Chase stood up, man. He let it be known that I'm not going to get pushed around. He knew
No.
Ross was going to be aggressive, and Ross was, and Chase kind of saw there a couple times they made some slight contact, and Chase is like, "I'm not rolling over for you, man. Well, I want to win too, and I'm not going to let the whole field know that I'm a pushover." And it was just great racing. Ross is, man, we're witnessing this guy mature right in front of our eyes.
Yeah.
I
All three of
mean,
them.
yeah, last year Ross is probably wrecked in that moment, going to overdrive the car.
Right. And I
Not this.
heard Chase and Ross both on the radio say, not their car radio, but like the Sirius XM radio after the race when they were doing their interviews, say, yeah, it's pretty much who's got the biggest cojones to keep the foot in the floor, because we neither one of us were gonna lift. And Ross is like, I may have barely cracked the gas, but yeah, I didn't lift very much if I did. And Briscoe's like, yeah, I didn't. I didn't. I was gonna keep my foot in it and hope it stuck. So
Yep.
both of those guys drove it in hard, and they were able to come out the other end, and Briscoe go on to win, and Ross gets a P2 today. As you're looking at the finishing order on the screen, and we got Tyler Reddick in P3. Brian Blaney comes home P4 after the pit crew loses a bunch of spots on one of those late cautions, and then finally gains them a position on that last stop. Blaney able to make it all the way back up to P4. And Kurt Busch in 2311 Racing, where did he come from today? Let's give him a hand. And so Kurt Busch, man, what did you see out of the Toyotas? We talked about it a little earlier, but Kurt Busch, first Toyota, and didn't really hear from him most of the day until the end of this race.
I think you see Kurt Busch in 5 today because of his experience. I think otherwise you don't see him there. He told me so that he had said that he got good restarts on the last 2 or 3 late race restarts. He took advantage because experience helps. You know what to do in those situations more than the young guys do. I got him a good finish because the rest of the race, Toyotas in general weren't talked about as we discussed. Kurt Busch and Bubba, they weren't really around. Bubba went a lap down. I don't think Kurt ever went a lap down. He might have, but he probably flirted with being a lap down. So good for him, man, taking advantage of it, showing his experience. And that's notes that Bubba can watch and take and apply that to his racing craft or throughout the season. So kudos to Kurt, bring that experience to that team because
Yes.
they've got a that's going to be some interesting
They
meetings.
have a data point now. A data point.
Well, it's going to be interesting too, buddy, because Trackhouse,
It's on
hey,
fire.
they're on fire. Where's 23XI at? Hey, they're not on fire. They got a little kindle,
Yeah,
maybe.
they got some work to do over there, and I think they're going to be able to do it. We'll just have to wait and see. They're just stacking pennies. Hate to steal Corey LaJoy's saying, but that's what 2311's doing right now. They're stacking pennies. They're trying to build that notebook, and maybe when they get a little further in the season, last year Bubba picked up towards the end of the season, so new car, new team, second car this year, so they're having to divide resources. I think they're still trying to get their footing under them and everybody working on the same page. I expect to see more of this top 5 performance out of 2311. Moving on through the rest of the top 10, Kevin Harvick brings it home 6th position. Good job for Kevin. And then Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, and then you said at Trackhouse again in 9th position with Daniel Suarez, and rounding out the top 10. How about some Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing with that Chris Buescher entry? Good job, all of those guys over there. Another guy we didn't hear from most of the race, but able to get it done. How about that, though, Corey? Speak a little bit to Chris Buescher out driving Boss Man today.
Boss man's struggling. So I'm
Boss
sure he's
man
going
is
to be
struggling.
happy. He's going to be happy as a business team owner. He one of his cars in the top 10. That's great, great data. Like I said, right now these teams are trying to get notebooks on cars. So good on Chris Buescher, but I mean Kyle Busch had quite a day. Brings home
Yes, he
7th.
did. Up
You
and
know, for
down again.
Kyle Busch, that's horrific for him, but in the real world, that's a good finish.
Yeah.
So good day for him. And then when you're bringing down that list, I can't help but notice that once again we're back on parity. There's 7 different teams in this top 10, buddy. I mean, that's great for the sport, great for all the sponsors. It's great for the everything. All around parity is great because that's what we want everybody to have a shot. Very entertaining. Watch. Awesome. So or let me ask you this while I keep mumbling because for whatever reason I forgot how to talk. The parity continue on to Atlanta, where we're gonna the first time track. Let's jump into Atlanta. Phoenix was a good weekend, but Atlanta, man, brand new surface. It's going to be a super speedway-esque track, 1.5 miles. Boy, I don't know. What you think, buddy? Give me your opinion because I don't really know what to think right now.
I think the parody is going to last, and I'll let you tell me that it's not, because the reason I think so is because of all the things you just mentioned. It's a brand new surface, and it's going to be like a super speedway. So I think a lot of these drivers and crews are really not going to know much to set up. They had a test there, a tire test. I don't know that everybody's been there yet. I could be wrong. Maybe they have, but I just don't see that it's going to be one team or one group of teams that goes out there and dominates at Atlanta like we've seen in the past. But what do you think? Do you think it's going to be all HMS, Toyota, Penske, or do you think we're going to see some more parity?
I think we're going to see parity because of carnage. I don't. I see a lot of torn up race cars. If this is gonna, I mean, this is a first. Yeah, I mean, people aren't talking. They might be talking about it and friends and whatnot, but 1.5 miles, that's a super speedway style race, is sounds pretty wild. I mean, it's crazy. So I think
Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of torn up cars, and I mean, there is no reason that we don't have another first time winner.
absolutely. Well, and it could very well happen. So we'll have to all tune in together and see what happens at Atlanta. We
Yeah,
appreciate you guys joining us on this episode of the Pit Box. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for us. That definitely helps out the channel. And we were going to see all of you guys next time on the Pit Box.
thanks, guys. See you next week.